That's not what a professional storyteller does with personal narrative. So this is a story that happened to me in my family. How many of you guys have ever been on road trips with your family? All right. How many of you have had weird things happen when you're on road tripping with your family? Yeah. Anyone ever got into a fist fight with one of their brothers and sisters on a road trip? It's something you don't necessarily do, but you can't get away from each other. And so you kill each other while you're on the road. Yeah. How many of your parents do really embarrassing things when you're traveling with them? Oh, yeah. So, my dad was in the United States Army. And every day, come home from work, and he's in his uniform. But what we discovered about him, which we didn't think about when we were little, but when we were in middle school, it became a thing. In high school, it was a big thing. He has no fashion sense. The man does not know how to dress himself. So when he wasn't wearing his uniform, on the weekends, this man wore black socks and sandals. And my mother would always have iron his t-shirt, so he'd wear a nice t-shirt and the rattiest shorts you ever saw in your life. I mean, I don't know, he didn't buy shorts, a new pair, for like 12 years, it doesn't look like. And he's also gigantic. My father is 6'4". He has black belts in judo, karate, hapkido, tensuro, and taekwondo. He knows how to use nunchucks and swords, and the Army thought it was a fabulous idea to teach him how to use rifles. He was a munitions expert. He is certified in all sorts of hand-to-hand combat. My father's worked with spies in the CIA. He worked with the Defense Intelligence Agency, and he worked with the Central Intelligence Agency. So most of the time, if you ask him what he did, he'd just look at you and he'd say, you know, and we know the answer. If I could tell you, but then I would really have to kill you. And that was really his job. And he worked on secret military installations, and he did that all over the world. But on the weekends, he just looked like an idiot because he was walking around in these ratty shorts and this t-shirt. And when we were little, and even up until high school, because he was in the military, we moved every 4 years. Every 4 to 5 years, my father would be stationed somewhere else in the world or in the country. And we would have to pack up and go. Now, there are 7 children in my family. My parents had 4, they adopted 3 when we were in South Korea, so 7 children. And it was the 80s, and all of us had giant Jerry curl afros. Huge afros. And the way some families would move across the country, they would load everything into the moving van, they would tie the family car to the moving van would take off, and then the family would fly across the country to wherever they were going, or they'd go visit family or something. But that's not how we did it, because my father had an attitude about America. His attitude was this: I fought for this country. You're all gonna see it. So he bought a van that sat 26 people. They don't even make them that big for domestic consumption anymore. And he would take the first 2 seats out and put them in the moving van, and our pets would travel up there. And then everyone else would sit to a seat, and then there was 1 seat in the back that was long, and then we'd take turns sleeping back there. All the luggage went on top of the car. And we had an Alsatian Shepherd. I don't know, do you guys know what an Alsatian Shepherd is? They're oversized German Shepherds, and they have long silver and black hair. They look like wolves. And when we were living in Oklahoma, when I was in middle school, we knew a family that showed these dogs. They were dog show people. But if they're not standard size, if they're too big or too small, you can't show them. And when this dog was born, his feet were like that big around. And they were like, oh, this is gonna be a really big dog. So they asked my father if he wanted it, and we ended up with this gigantic animal. The forest, something she did pretty frequently, when she found a track that she didn't recognize. And she'd been in the forest a lot, so it was weird to find something she'd never seen before. So she followed it. She wasn't worried, she knew the forest well. And it took her to this huge clearing she'd never been in, and in the middle of it was a giant house. And as she got closer, she began to count, and she realized it had 7 chimneys. It's Mr. Fox's house. And baked tiles on the roof, and it was a beautiful brick house, and she thought, oh my God, I found Mr. Fox's house. And she ran to the door and she started knocking and ringing the bell. Ideally, what she thought was there would be servants, such a big house, someone would let her in, but no one came. And then she looked up and she realized there were words above the door and they said, "Be bold, be bold." She was bold. She opened the door, she went in. Well, the house was gorgeous, it was huge. And as she went from room to room, she realized they were decorated as if they came from different parts of the world. This one from France, this one from China, this one from Italy. Oh my gosh, all the rooms were so beautiful. And then she got to the rotunda and right in the middle was that ball. And he started slinging his arms around, hooping and hollering. And down off of Kochafi Hill, here came Brer Bear. Brer Bear, you might know somebody like Brer Bear. Brer Bear moves really slow on the inside and really slow on the outside. And Brer Bear walked up to Brer Rabbit and did this. "What are you doing?" And Brer Rabbit looked right at that critter and said, "I'm making $5 a minute scaring crows." And Brer Bear said, "Really? I want to make $5 a minute scaring crows." And Brer Rabbit said, "Well, that's easy. All you got to do is untie my leg and tie your own self up upside down here and then sling your arms upside down and you will be making $5 a minute outside." He would walk in the house and he would say, "Did you open the door?" She would say, "No, Father." "Did you look out the window?" No, Father, I did not." "You didn't let anyone in?" "No, I didn't let anyone in." "Good. The world's a dangerous place." And then he would make her turn the junk into art. Well, one day the junk picker was traveling through town and he came to the really ritzy side of town and there was a really big house and it was very fancy, but on the front porch was a beautiful porcelain vase. It was such fine porcelain, he stopped to look at it. And while he was there, a coach came up and the footman called, "You're the house!" And the door opened and out came two very fancily dressed people, a man and a wife. And they came out heading towards the coach and their children came out and started dancing around and a dog and a cat came out and the nurse came out all at once to say goodbye to the mother and father. The dog and the cat were just jumping around and the children were jumping around and the nurse was trying to gather everyone. The young couple went up in the carriage and as the nurse was getting everyone inside, she left the dog outside and the dog was barking and jumping and hit the porcelain vase and it turned over and shattered right there on the porch.